Congresswoman DeRemer, the vast majority of Americans, whether from compassion or anger, have some level of concern about what is happening at the U.S. southern border. Various bipartisan border bills died in the Senate this year. If either had made it to the House, would you have supported those bills? Why or why not?
Thank you for that question. So important because of how that southern border and the open border and the failed policies of this administration have really affected Oregon. So many states are border states now, and we're seeing that with the influx of the fentanyl crisis that we're seeing that's killing our kids. And really, when you have Measure 110 accepting that with open arms, that my opponent led, it's like, yeah, come on in, drug cartels, and really poison our kids on the streets. And people are dead because of those choices that she made. And on those border bills, we passed in the House of Representatives the most strict border bill that we could have early last year, which I supported, which would have funded our Border Patrol, making sure they had the tools that they need to stop that. That is sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk in the Senate. The Senate bill that came forward never got out of the Senate, so I didn't have the opportunity to vote on it, but I would have taken a hard look on it because we have to get the tools that they need in the hands to stop those flow of drugs so that we're not killing our kids here in Oregon.
Representative Bynum, anything to say to that?
Well, Representative Chavez-DeRemer isn't entitled to change the facts. We know that she was not going to vote yes on that border bill because she follows Trump, and Trump killed that bill. We also know that I was a leader in the legislature making sure that we corrected any wrongs that were made with Measure 110. I led the effort to make sure that fentanyl and other drugs were recriminalized with an emergency clause. I led in our community making sure that we had a town hall before anybody else was even talking about fentanyl. The Congresswoman can barely spell fentanyl, can barely articulate the actual problems that are occurring at our border because she's so far into Trump's line of sight. She wants to please him. She's associated with him. We know that he killed that bill, and that is a testament to how far she is associated with Trump. We know that she doesn't want that border bill to pass.
Representative Bynum, a similar question for you. What specific actions would you seek to address on the issue of illegal immigration at the U.S. southern border?
I worked on the border. For 6 years, I worked on the border. And I believe that human trafficking is one of the largest atrocities that are related to the border as it stands. So human trafficking is an issue. We know that drug trafficking is also an issue. But we also know, and in my time working there, we also know that the border is a function of our economy. We have to protect it, but we have to make sure that there is the free flow of goods and services to make sure that our economy is strong. I work there. I understand what borders are like. It's not this free-for-all that Lori Chavez-DeRemer is claiming that it is. It is a part of our economy, and we must protect it.
Congressman, I want to give you a chance to respond as well.
Yes, thank you. Well, how important the border is, I've been there twice, not only Texas border and the Arizona border. And one of the things that was important to me was the Secure the Border Act, which I voted for, making sure, again, that our Border Patrol has the tools they need so we can vet the people who are coming into this country. We know more than 10 million people, if not more. And tens of thousands of those have records of criminality, whether it's murder, whether it's rape. You cannot have an opponent who's done exactly here allow people to die on the streets because of fentanyl. People are dying 80 cents a pill on every street, and it's because of her failed policies, because what she championed, she says she's a champion, but she championed drugs on the streets that have killed. What do you say to those families that now their kids are dead? She has no answer to it. It's failed policies. She can have her opinion all day long, but she has failed policies that she has a record on here in the state of Oregon, which she always deflects from because she doesn't want to own it. At some point, she's going to look in that camera and she's going to own up to those families who have lost their children because she rolled the dice. She took a chance and she failed.
Representative Bynum, 30 seconds to respond to that.
I grew up in Washington, D.C. during the crack cocaine epidemic. I remember what it was like seeing people strung out on the streets. I understand what it means when you lose a family member to drugs and addiction. I get that. My opponent doesn't. She wants to sweep people under the carpet and throw them away like dogs. I, on the other hand, believe in the rule of law. I understand what happens when your communities are afflicted with drug violence and and gun violence for that matter. I understand it better than my opponent ever could.
You wouldn't agree to that if you didn't vote